Movember, day 24, and for today's video I want to look at celibacy and its benefits in the use of sex addiction recovery. I'm going to read from this book, Facing the Shadow of Patrick Carnes. And so it starts with a couple of case studies that'll then pull into how these suggestions would fit in a recovery of someone from sex addiction. So let me go through them, and we'll be eventually looking at reasons for celibacy. Establishing sobriety with a period of celibacy. Kurt would start with pornographic videos. Once he was somewhat excited, he would get in his car and start cruising the part of his city littered with strip clubs. Kurt would stop at adult bookstores and buy videos. Then he would stop at several of the clubs. While watching the dances, he would call an escort service and arrange to meet a woman at a motel. After sex with her, he would think of the risks he took as a married man and as a professional person. Kurt was an elected official, and he would promise himself he'd never do it again. Yet within a few days, he would tell himself that he just wanted to look at the videos for a short time. Watching the videos was not public or risky, just entertaining, and sometimes he would just watch and masturbate. More often, watching the videos led to a desire to cruise in his car just to see what was happening on the street. Kurt would caution himself against going to the strip clubs, yet he always would. Sometimes in the strip club he would linger for some time before making the phone call. In this way he held on to the delusion that he was still in control. On some occasions he would even convince himself he would just give the woman money and then simply go home. That never happened either. Eventually the day came when his world unraveled all at once. First, his family physician diagnosed him with hepatitis C, a serious sexually transmitted disease. In the afternoon, he received a call from an out-call escort service he used most often. They had his name, phone number, and address, and they wanted to talk business, which turned out to be a blackmail threat. And the worst, his wife, Joan, was listening to the conversation. This was a bad day to be an addict, but a good day to begin recovery. Kurt started by being partially honest with his wife. The prostitute was a one-time lapse of judgment. He told her, and he made that he'd made because his sex life had been so sparse. Further, he revealed his hepatitis C diagnosis, telling her that he had contracted it during the one indiscretion. Kurt knew he was in enough trouble to seek help. He went to see a therapist named Jack. His therapist listened to the whole story and then carefully reconstructed how many times this had happened. Kurt was surprised to realize that he had been sexual with 47 women in the previous year, or about one every week. Further, Jack pointed out that the masturbation with videos occurred every 2 to 3 days. Together, Jack and Kurt calculated he was averaging about $400 on each prostitute and about $60 a video. Net cost for the year was in the neighborhood of $27,000. Jack helped Kurt develop boundaries for himself. He asked Kurt to agree to bring in all of his videos and not to use them anymore, nor was he to go into the parts of town where the strip clubs and adult bookstores were located. If he had to be in that area, he needed to arrange someone to be with him. In one of their sessions, they did a ceremony around destroying the videos. Kurt was caught in a predictable addictive cycle. Eliminating the videos and cruising bypassed the triggers for the acting out. Kurt was beginning to establish sobriety. He came to accept that he was a sex addict and disclosed everything to his wife, went to meetings and found a sponsor. Jack surprised him one session by asking Kurt to consider a period of celibacy. He said it would help Kurt learn about himself and his sexuality. Kurt found this upsetting. So did Joan, who had been stung by Kurt's statement that they were not sexual enough. She was afraid that if they stopped, Kurt would use it as an excuse to act out again. So Kurt and Joan came in to talk to Jack together, and Jack explained that to take a vacation from sex would enhance both their sexuality and their therapy. Over time, both Kurt and Joan found that being celibate awakened interest in each other sexually. That is when they started learning about what sexually was. So, the reasons they give for celibacy. Usually sobriety starts with a sponsor or therapist asking an addict to stop specific dysfunctional and destructive, dangerous behavior. As in Kurt's case, this usually takes the form of a contract that the addict refrain from specific sexual activities. Fairly early in recovery, addicts will also commit to a period of celibacy. Usually this lasts from 8 to 12 weeks and includes all forms of erotic activity, including sex with self. Some recovering people extend that time because the lessons are so useful. So here are the reasons for celibacy, and I'll just try and bounce through the slides to give you so you can contemplate on these. 1, it provides a time to cool off and do damage control from the many complications due to an addict's unmanageability. 2, the addict who learns to handle emotions without any sexual crutch becomes more available to the therapeutic process. 3, therapists have noticed that repressed childhood memories start to emerge during periods of therapeutic celibacy. 4, a celibacy period has long been used by therapists as a way to stimulate healthy sexual interest. And 5, celibacy provides an important context for defining what sobriety is, what relapse is, and what healthy sex is. So, you'd want to be looking at how to get the most out of it. So it says here the goal of celibacy is not to create sexual anorexia, but rather to provide important perspective on reclaiming sexuality, which has been lost amidst the cycles of addiction and anorexia. Kurt discovered the impact his dad had on his sexuality by sharing his pornography with Kurt. Starting when he was just 11 years old, he learned to label that as a form of child abuse. Joan discovered that she had shut down sexually starting with a series of date rapes in her teens. When Kurt became distant because of work and addiction, her experience with him paralleled the experience she'd had with the man who had assaulted her. She thought this happened to all women. In fact, both had normalized these events from their past. Now they had to face the deeper issues in their lives, including what it meant to be a man and a woman. So getting the most out of celibacy. When beginning a period of celibacy, the following suggestions may help. And again, I'll throw up some key points, but I'll read through what Patrick's got. So view it as a timeout, not an end. A celibacy period will provide you space to focus on other needs. It is not a sentence and not the end of your sexuality. On the contrary, celibacy will make you fully aware of your sexual self. The next one is work through commitment issues with your partner. The decision to be celibate will affect your partner. Respecting your partner means involving him or her in your thinking so you can jointly commit to a celibacy period. You get support from your therapist, sponsor, or 12-step group or therapy group. You will need their guidance and help to maximize the experience. Being open with those who support in your support network will help you implement your plan. Expect that celibacy will raise issues. For many, this change is drastic and places life issues in sharp relief. Make this a goal and not a surprise. Understand that resistance is typical. You may experience anger and resentment at first. This isn't surprising. We seldom embark gracefully on any ordeal that involves significant change and insight. Excuse me, guys. Now, let me make sure I'm up to the right place. So the next one is prepare yourself to experience new feelings. The new feelings that emerge will be guides to parts of yourself you need to reclaim. And as unpleasant as these feelings may be, they will serve as significant allies in helping you become who you fully are. And plan active tasks to embrace the experience. Select a specific step out of the 12 steps to work on. Work on assignments from your therapist to help you accepting, nurturing, and develop spiritual and sexual awareness. Also keep a journal about your period of celibacy. So sometimes it's really a hard sell to say to somebody, that this will be good to practice a period of celibacy and recovery. I hope some of those tips are useful. And sometimes it's good for partners to become aware of this information as well. Guys, I got John Lee talking in 2 days' time. Please sign up on the website. If you can donate anything from Movember, that's fantastic. And all the videos are available on the Steve Stokes Counselling and Consulting website. And to sign up for any of the groups that are running, including John Lee's Live from Austin, Texas talk for the men in my practice, is all the details are there. And with that, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.